Cars. There are many cars on the streets today, but 200 years ago things were not like this. There were no cars in those days. People first traveled on foot. They often traveled many kilometers and took many days to reach places that were far away. Soon after this, people began to travel on animals such as horses, donkeys, and elephants. They began using these animals to carry them and their loads. This made traveling much easier and quicker. And our first picture here shows us a caravan of camels. Another thing that made traveling easier was the invention of the wheel. People found that it was easier to roll heavy loads over round logs. After rolling many loads over round logs, people thought of another way to carry their loads. They found that it was easier to carry loads on wheels than roll them on logs. They also found that they too could travel on wheels. All they had to do was to make a place for themselves to stand or sit. Then they would put this on wheels and use animals or people to pull the cart they had made. The Roman chariot gives us a very good example of what one of these carts might have looked like. The chariot had two wheels and was drawn by one or more horses. And here we have an example of the Roman chariot. Another development in travel was the making of the coach. Like the chariot, it was drawn by one or more horses, but it had four wheels. It was used to carry people and their loads. This was about 370 years ago. The coach looked like a small room and had a door and two windows. But riding in a coach was still a very bumpy way for people to travel. It was often difficult for people to get where they wanted to go in time. A ride that would take 5 hours today by car or train would have taken 5 days by coach. So here we have the coach. We can see the horses, we can see the wheels, we can see the windows there. In the 1700s, people began using steam to power engines. In the year 1781, a Scotsman named James Watt built a steam engine that was used to turn the wheels on a carriage. This was really the first kind of car. Steam carriages moved slowly and were heavy and bumpy and noisy. Even coaches drawn by horses could go faster than steam carriages. They were also difficult to steer. In 1870, a German named Carl Benz invented an engine powered by petrol. Even today, petrol is still used by cars. The first petrol car was built in 1885 and was called the Benz. It was named after the man who invented the petrol engine. These cars, powered by petrol, could go faster than horses or cars powered by steam. They even went faster than people thought they could go. Some people were afraid of them. Some went to hide when they heard a car coming. One reason for this was that cars were very dangerous at that time. They were difficult to stop and difficult to steer. Most of these early petrol cars did not have any covering, and traveling in them made people dirty. The drivers had to put on big glasses and the women had to cover their faces. The cars used plenty of gas just to go 1 kilometer. So drivers had to carry gas in pans because there were no gas stations in those days. The cars were, however, not as bumpy as before because they had rubber tires that were filled with air. Each car took a very long time to be made. Only a few rich people could find the money it took to buy a car. In 1909, Henry Ford built the first car that people who were not rich could buy. he invented a quicker and easier way of building cars. The car he built was called the Model T. In his factory, different men worked on different parts of a car. As one man finished with one part of the car, it was passed along a line to another man who worked on another part of the car. This went on until the car was finished. Today, nearly all cars are made in this way. And here we have a picture of the Model T. Cars have made it easier for people to travel many kilometers on land in a short time. But every day it takes more and more money to buy gas. Because of this, people are trying to find other ways to power cars and other ways to get where they want to go. So some of these new ways include having cars with what they call fuel cells, hydrogen fuel cells. And we hear about hybrid cars that use both a gasoline engine and a generator to power the car. So, for example, the Toyota Prius is a very good example of a hybrid car, while the Teslas are examples of cars that are fully electric. Okay, so those electric vehicles, they charge up at a charging station and they drive for a particular range, and then you have to charge them again. All right, so those are some of the ways we are trying to cut down on the amount of gas, but still using transportation to move us quickly from one place to the next. All right, guys, take care. Do your summaries, do the quizzes which follow, and turn your answers into your teachers.